do you want to share the title slide?
Um,
Hello and welcome to the first few people joining us. We're going to get started in a couple of minutes. I have sent a link to the pre-survey into the chat. This is a great opportunity to complete the pre-survey. If you complete both the pre and post survey, you will be entered into a draw to win one of two $100 Tim Hortons gift cards. So for everyone that wasn't here when I started that, I've added the pre-survey link to the chat. If you haven't completed it yet, you complete both the pre and post survey and you'll be entered into a draw to win one of two $100 Tim Hortons gift cards. So we've got another minute or two before we get started, so this is a great opportunity to quickly complete that survey. So we'll just give it a little bit longer for people to make their way in and join us before we get started with a bit of housekeeping stuff. Okay, hello and welcome everybody. My name is Chad. I'm going to be the IT guy for this afternoon, so if any technical issues come up throughout the presentation, feel free to send me a message in the chat and I will do what I can to address those for you. If you have any questions throughout the presentation about the information being covered, there is a Q&A box along the bottom of your screen, similar to where you would find the chat. There is going to be a half-hour dedicated Q&A time at the end of the presentation. So if you throw your questions in the Q&A, it'll keep them separated from anything that might go on during the chat so that we're able to address those for you at the end. Right now you should see the slide as well as a little picture of me beside it. If you don't see both the slide and me, you can go to the view options in the top corner of your screen and set it to side-by-side speaker view, and that's going to make sure that you can see both the screen and the presenter. There are also a list of resources available that went into creating this presentation. Those resources would have been sent to you in the reminder email. They will also be sent to you in the follow-up email. Those resources are a great thing to have if you want to do any additional research into any of the topics covered throughout this presentation or just want to refamiliarize yourself with them or anything like that. Those resources are good, trusted sources for you to be able to look at. So that's why we have them there. And finally, there's going to be a couple of polls launched throughout the presentation. The polls are completely anonymous. They're just there so that your presenter can get an idea what you guys are thinking and feeling and where you stand on the information being covered. So please respond to the polls, completely anonymous, just there to help. So without any further ado, I'm going to pass it over to Ulrich, who is going to be your presenter for today. Thank you.
Hi. Hopefully this is working. Um, my name is Ulrich Koopman. I'm a third year Mohawk broadcasting student. And I was asked to do a presentation on, living financially, health, and living a healthy life. So we're gonna get into it. If you do have any questions, I think Chad said they will be, a spot at the end. So I will answer those at the end. Um, but all right. Um, so the Canadian Foundation for Economic Education is pleased to partner with the National Bank of Canada to provide a series of workshops to help post-secondary school students across the country get a better handle on their money. Today's topic is living a financially healthy life. And we're going to cover some very important information that you'll be able to take action right away to control your money. This workshop will last about an hour and we'll have a Q&A at the end of the presentation. All right. So CFI and the National Bank have partnered with post-secondary students across the country to access important financial literacy workshops. The program Help Managing Your Money on Campus is designed to help support young people like you by providing you with comprehensive financial education modules. This is so important and timely because more than ever, we live in a complex financial world. The majority of you have most likely already experienced this world of financial costs, responsibilities, planning, spending, debt, credit cards, and much more. And that's exactly why we're partnering with universities and colleges across the country to help equip students with the information they need to take on all of life's financial challenges. In the first half of 2020, we asked students about their priorities and they want to learn more about Nearly 1,500 students answered our surveys from 94 different post-secondary institutions. This is what we found out. So our research identified that nearly 2/3 of students are currently dealing with financial stress. Plus 57% of students are looking to help preparing and working with a budget. Not only that, but half of students also reported having difficulty generally knowing how to manage their finances. We hear your concerns and we do understand your challenges, and that's why we've put together today's presentation. So today we're going to talk about 3 major topics. First, we'll discuss the value of goal setting. We'll talk about how to make healthy money decisions, the importance of having a plan, and how to go about setting your goals. Next, we'll look at how to make a budget. We're going to walk you through the budgeting process while talking about the difference between needs and wants and give you some tips for spending on large purchases like a car or a house. And then finally, we want to talk to you about saving. We're going to make saving a positive part of your budget, and we've got a ton of fun tips and tricks just to do that. So coming out of the workshop, hopefully you'll, for one, be able to make more informed decisions about purchases, understand why we buy things and the influences on our behaviors, be able to create a budget that includes savings and help reduce your financial stress, as well as know how to apply the magic of compound interest to increase your savings. First up, we're going to discuss the importance of goal setting. Whether you want to own a home, obtain a goal, obtain a good education, develop an artistic skill, or become an athlete, goal setting is a huge part of reaching your dream. It can be challenging, but it is important to make the decisions you believe are best for you, the one that fit your values, your priorities, and goals, and that make you happy and make you feel good about your decision. Over time, though, and at different stages of life, our priorities and concerns can change. The priorities, concerns, and goals of someone who is 15 will likely be quite different from someone who is 65. Therefore, when setting goals, you have to consider that it's going to change throughout what we like to call your life cycle. So let's get started with goal setting. Here's what we're going to cover in this section. We're going to cover talking about your money decisions, the importance of having a roadmap, as well as setting SMART goals, which we're all going to get into. Most people make decisions about how to use money every day. It may be to take a bus or to buy something for lunch or to put money in a parking meter or buy a new app or go to a movie. And like it or not, we need money to get and do a lot of things. Try and think of the last day when you didn't spend money or make a decision about how to use money, either yours or someone else's. You probably make such decisions involving money and you have choices. But what things influence the decisions that you make? Think about the last thing you spent money on. What factors affected your decision? There are a couple factors that at least influence my decision personally, which is like, my emotions when I see something. A lot of people impulse buy quite regularly, which I have had trouble dealing with. It's quite hard when something looks really nice that your brain instantly attaches to it and wants it right away. And it's hard to, deter your brain from that. Friends and peers can often, sway your judgment on things. Maybe all your friends want to go out for lunch, so you might also buy lunch with your friends. And then like family members. My dad personally was a huge, save all your money all the time. So I also have that part of my brain that I'm also listening to. And yeah, so some of those factors may influence your buying decisions as well. And then here are a few tips when considering making good money decisions. Number one, think about your thinking. Take a moment to think about your thinking. That might sound a little weird, but to make a good decision, it helps to have a minute or so to think about the choice you're going to make and why you're making it. Many people make decisions without really thinking about why they are making that particular decision. Is it because of the kind of decision that you have always made? Because you are trying to make someone happy? Because you think it will make you happy? Because of what someone taught you? Because it's part of who you are and reflects your values? Take time to think about the why. Number two is the opportunity goal or opportunity cost. Consider your opportunity cost. That is what you're giving up making the everyday decision. Every decision has an opportunity cost. You could be giving up something else that you could buy the money with that you're spending, or something else you could do with the time you are investing, or another city you could be visiting, or another course at school you could be taking, among all the possible alternatives. What's the next best thing you'll be giving up? That's the opportunity cost. Number three is future trade-offs. Consider the future possibilities. That is, in addition to what you might be giving up today, what might you be giving up in the future because of your decision? What could be different if you waited? Number four is, can you afford the cost? Finally, can you afford it? Do you have the money to pay for it? If not, how are you going to use a credit card? Will you have the money to pay off the credit card balance when you get your bill? Or will you be carrying the cost into the future and paying interest? If you're going to pay interest, then you must consider that as part of your costs and as part of your decision. And then lastly, take pride in financial stability. Be just as proud as building up a savings account as compared to buying things. In fact, you should be more proud of having savings that will allow you to persevere through life's challenges. All right. Another important tip is to differentiate between your personal needs and wants. There will be an element of personal value within these decisions, but please be honest with yourself as to what is a need and what is a want. The picture shows food, which is a need, as well as a fancy restaurant, which is a want. A need is something like housing, transportation to and from places like work or support services or the grocery store. And then there's also food and your phone. Another need is some form of savings. Having savings is key for financial well-being to help enable longer-term resiliency for yourself and for your family. A want might be a more expensive form of a need. Going to a restaurant for dinner, buying the newest cell phone, a vacation in another country. Hopefully the vacation is post-COVID, a new car, a ticket to a concert, etc. It is important to plan your cash flow budget to ensure that you can cover your needs first. Once you have paid for your needs, including some amount of savings, then you can decide if you want to spend additional money on wants. Just be aware of the differences between a need and a want. Identify what kind of spender you are. Realize that the spending choices you make today affect your spending choices in the future. A good tip that I've learned is to sleep on it. Especially if you're very impulse shopping and you're not really sure, a good tip is just sleep on it, wait for the morning, and maybe you'll not want it. And then don't let others make spending decisions for you, and be aware of how advertising tries to lure you into making purchases that you may not need. Just some shopping tips. Unit pricing shows how much one unit costs, like per 100 milliliters or per cup, etc. Often it is better to buy in bulk if an item is non-perishable. It may not make sense to buy 100 eggs if you're only able to consume if you're not able to consume more than 20 in a month. Costco can be a great place to buy in bulk, and perhaps you can split purchases with family or friends. Make sure to keep shopping lists so you only buy what you need, and also so you can buy buy them when they are on sale. Uh, my mom is a prolific shop on sale person. She will almost always just buy what's on sale instead of anything else. If you truly need something, getting it on sale can be a great way to save money. Um, and then there are apps such as Flip and Revi, which are comparison shopping apps. So they'll show you the flyers and deals available in your area. Another app that may be available in your area is flashfood.com. That helps you find discounted food at your local grocery store. These apps can also help you get a store to price match on what you're buying. Although I will say not every store does price matching. So sometimes you just have to ask and see if they do it. Store brands or no-name brands for everyday items can be a great way to save money. Some stores may even contract with name brands to produce a product for them, but not just put the name brand label on the product. For items like medicines, just be sure to check the active ingredients are the same. There's no shortage of advice you are likely to receive about how to effectively manage your money and what you should be doing with your money. But in the end, you will decide. You'll decide what your needs and wants are and what you really want or need in life. A key factor that can affect your decisions are your goals. If you don't have goals, then goals won't play a role in your money decisions. But if you have goals and hopes and things you want to achieve in the future, they will have an impact on the decisions that you make. Therefore, setting goals for yourself can be a powerful incentive, which can have an effect on the decisions that you make. Why can goals make a difference? If you have goals, you'll have to consider the possible trade-offs as you make decisions today. And savings to achieve a goal can be very rewarding, personally satisfying, a real motivator, and a confidence builder. Achieving a goal can help prove to yourself that you can accomplish what you set your mind to and inspire you to aim for other goals and to achieve other things. A lot of good money habits is about changing your behaviors and building upon your successful achievements of various goals. Though money doesn't buy happiness is quite an important role in most people's lives. We may wish it weren't so, but it's true. Earning money, spending money, saving money, investing money, making money, losing money, giving money away. We make all kinds of decisions, often daily, about money. Money can help us out, but it can also cause problems, getting deep into debt, causing stress, tension, anxiety, pushing some people to crime, having bill collectors on your back to avoid money problems. It's best to try and stay in control of your money and how it affects your life. You'll want to maximize the help that money can provide and minimize the problems it can cause. Today is the best time to start to take control of your money, and the best way to take control of your money is to be prepared and plan. Planning how to handle money is not only for those who have lots of money. In fact, the less money you have, the more important it is to you. You want to get the most from the money that you do have. As you build a plan, consider the different time periods. The short term, what you would like to achieve over the next year, possibly even the next week or month. The medium term, which is 1 to 3 years. The long term, which is 3 to 5 years. And then the most distant future, which is 5 years and beyond. Short-term goals can be very helpful as they serve as stepping stones to achieving your medium-term goals. As an example, if you are looking to save up for a car, break it down into the monthly saving goals over the next few years. Then use medium-term goals as stepping stones to long-term goals, and so on. Doing this gives you some checkpoints to see how you are doing over time, and think about whether your goals have changed and if you want to change directions. As you succeed with your goals, find a way to celebrate those goals and be proud of what you have accomplished. If you are in your teens or early 20s, your thoughts are probably mostly on personal relationships, your education, your job or work opportunities, entertainment, sporting events, and travel. You're probably thinking about possible careers, educational options, work opportunities, and prospects, perhaps moving out on your own, Over time, though, and at different stages of life, our priorities and concerns can and will change. Taking control of your financial affairs means thinking about the various stages of your own life cycle. You can only think about what is you can't only think about what is important today. You also have to think about what will be important to you in the future, as a future stage in your life cycle. Finding a balance between today and the future is important. Develop a plan that helps you live as happy a life as you can, today, next month, and into the future. So let's talk about setting goals. We're going to take a minute to watch this video, if it'll work. We're not going to watch the whole thing. Hopefully it works. Cool.
So what is a SMART goal? Well, let's cover the definition of a goal first. A goal is a desired result that you envision, plan, and commit to achieving. But most people never reach their goals. We live in a microwave society. We want our dreams and we want them now, without putting in the work to get there. But goals are achieved in a slow cooker. It takes time, which means small, intentional steps every day. Chris Hogan, a leadership and retirement expert, says,
"A dream without a plan is a wish."
That was weird. That's why New Year's resolutions rarely work. In January, you can't find an empty Stairmaster at the gym, but by March, it's a ghost town. Where did all those people go? Well, we don't need an in-depth Dateline investigation to figure out what happened here. They didn't set SMART goals. Goals that are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-sensitive. Setting a resolution to lose weight won't cut it. But if you set a SMART goal to drop 20 pounds by March 15th by going to the gym 3 times a week and cutting out milkshakes, you'll be more likely to succeed. At Ramsey Solutions, we recommend...
All right. So that's kind of what SMART goals are. Let's move on. Let's see. So which of these are SMART goals? So I think there should be a poll, Chad. Yes. So I think the idea is which of these are SMART goals. Click the one that you think is a SMART goal, and then we will see the results afterwards. So for example, saving money is commendable, but it's not a SMART goal. To make that one a SMART goal, it could be something like, I will save $20 a month by cutting back on buying Starbucks. And over the year, that money will accumulate to $240 in savings to buy a nice dinner at, somewhere. That would be kind of like what the SMART goal is. Right. I don't think you guys, can people see the results, Chad? Is that something people can see?
I believe they should be able to.
Right. So yeah. So SMART goals would be something like exercising 30 minutes a day for 5 days a week. Yeah. Good job. All right. We're gonna move on. So I think this is a worksheet that people have access to. And that should help you set up SMART goals. So if you guys want to do that after the workshop, that would be ideal. That would probably help you. Just something that we've given you to maybe help you out in the long run. All right, just some key takeaways from this section. Make sure you're making good money decisions. Take time to think about the why. You need a map to get to your destination. Goals should be the most important factor in making decisions. To achieve your dreams, you'll need to set SMART goals. Yeah. All right. Now we're going to go on to our next section on budgeting and spending. This is an important step in meeting our goals. Another way to think of this section is to manage your cash flow. Always much better for you to manage something than for it to manage you. And we're just going to cover how budgeting works, prioritizing needs and wants, and preparing for major purchases. So I think there should be another poll that's going to launch. Yes, all right. So just take some time to answer that. All right, it's almost 50-50 split, with 55% of people saying they do have a budget, and 45% saying they don't. But do you follow your budget? That's the thing. That is the thing. 80% of people saying they don't follow their budget, which, you know, seems to be a common factor in a lot of things. If you make a budget, it is very helpful to follow that budget. If you wanted to reduce spending in a category to maybe help follow your budget, you should do it gradually over time. It's unlikely you're going to go from spending $200 a month eating out to $0. So plan to reduce it by like 25% at first to see how you manage that over a couple months. And then there are just other little ways to reduce your money spending and maybe get back on the budget. Maybe you can do it with your friends. I feel like that's always a good motivator for me, is if you have like kind of like a workout buddy, but for budgeting. Yeah. So why build a budget? Putting together a budget will help you manage and control your money. A budget is a plan for how you can use your money on a month-to-month basis. It helps you look at your expenses, both those you have each month and those that come up now and then. It helps you work out how you will cover your expenses from your income. A budget also helps you save, build up your savings over time, and achieve your financial goals. A budget is not a straitjacket. If anything, it can help give you a greater financial freedom. When it comes to budgeting and financial planning, you'll hear a term thrown around a lot. Financial freedom. What does it mean? How are you free if you're cutting back on saving money? Is that not financial restriction? Financial freedom is about having flexibility and power over your own life. It means being prepared for unexpected costs, like car repairs, rather than struggling to find money when they come up. Financial freedom is cutting back on the less important costs now, so you can afford that house, car, family, vacation, or even child if you're planning for in the years to come. So yeah, financial freedom can involve restricting your expenses now, but with the goal of leaving you free of stress in the future. A budget helps you know where your money is going. As you work out your budget, you may find ways to cut back or ways to save more. If you can, use your budget to pay yourself first. If you pay yourself last, it often ends up that there is nothing left. Put some of your money in savings when you get it, and budget how you will use the rest. Even if it is a small amount, try and start by paying yourself with savings and try and make saving a habit from a young age. It is a great habit to develop and can be an important way to achieve your goals. Basically, a budget involves comparing your income with your expenses. It gives you a picture of your financial situation and where you may be heading. And it should give you a very clear indication of whether or not you are on the road to accomplish your longer term goals. There are different kinds of budgets. There's a type of budget where you allocate your income to different categories. For example, 50% needs, 30% wants, and 20% savings. There's also the survival budget, which is for people with low or no income. With this type of budget, you have to document your essentials and then list how you are going to pay for them. But the most common type of budget is a zero-based budget, where every dollar is accounted for, including savings. Let's learn about the zero-based budget. Basically, a budget involves comparing your income with your expenses. It gives you a picture of your financial situation and where you may be heading. And it should give you a very clear indication on whether or not you are on the road to accomplish your longer-term goals. Your budget must be realistic, and you must be patient to accomplish your goals. You'll not create a perfect budget the first time you try, as you will miss things, possibly annual items like car registration renewal fees or like insurance charges. Don't be discouraged and just try patiently to find a budgeting process that works well for you. Creating a budget for yourself may be a good SMART goal from this workshop. It is important to find a budgeting method and process to track your budget that works for you. If you're not really good at spreadsheeting, don't build an elaborate spreadsheet for your budget, as you may give up on it in a few months as it may be too painful to track. There are different kinds of budgets. Number one is a budget where you would allocate your income to different categories, which we went over, which is 50% needs, 30% wants, 20% savings, the survival budget, and then the zero-based budget, which I just went over. And then this should be another video. Let's see. Again, we're not going to watch the whole thing. Hopefully it works. This one doesn't look like it's working. This one's not working. That is, oh wait, there we go. All right. I'm not gonna watch the whole thing, but it should be going. Let's give it a minute.
Action! What is a zero-based budget? Well, let's define a budget first. Your average is a monthly estimate of income and expenses with a list of categories. In other words, it's just a plan for your money. At Ramsey Solutions, we recommend taking it one step further with a zero-based budget. The idea here is simple. The money that comes in minus the money that goes out equals meaning you've told every penny exactly where it's going to go. Just like how you told that guy in traffic exactly where he was going to go. Now, making a zero-based budget isn't as hard as it sounds. Step 1, list your take-home pay for the month. Step 2, list all your expenses for the month, but start with these 5 categories: food, shelter, utilities, transportation, and clothing. The basics. You want to make sure your rent or mortgage is budgeted first before you start budgeting for something like your hot yoga membership. Jeff. Once the necessities are taken care of, move to step 3. List the rest of your expenses like haircuts, Netflix, date nights, plus all the stuff your kids need. Man, are kids really that expensive? Yep. Golly. Don't let life catch you off guard. Think ahead and plan for events or situations you need to save up for. Holidays, weddings, birthdays, bar mitzvahs, quinceañeras, chupacabras, you name it. You can even create a fund in your budget to put aside money every month so you're ready when that day comes. Christmas is on December 25th. Again, don't act surprised, people. Now, if you work through every expense for the month,
All right, we're gonna stop it there. But hopefully you get the gist. All right. So let's do it. Step 1, write down your total income. This is your total take-home pay, which is after taxes for both you and, if you're married, your spouse. Don't forget to include everything: full-time jobs, second jobs, freelance pay, HST rebates, other government programs, and other ongoing sources of income. Step 2, list your expenses. Think about your regular bills, mortgage, electricity, internet, etc. These are fixed expenses. Don't forget costs you have to pay but are not monthly. For example, quarterly payments like insurance or property tax. After that, add up your other costs, your variable costs like groceries, gas, entertainment, and clothing. Every dollar you spend should be accounted for. And as we mentioned, don't forget to pay yourself first. Some money should go into savings. You might want to monitor your spending for a few months to get a clear picture of where your money is going. There are apps that can help. Or you can simply use an Excel spreadsheet. Step 3 is subtract your expenses from income to equal 0. We call this a zero-based, meaning your income minus your expenses should equal 0. When you do that, you know every dollar you make has a place in your budget. If you're over or under, check your math or simply return to the previous step and try again. And then step 4 is track your spending. Once you create your budget, track your spending. It's the only way you'll know if your spending lines up with your plan. Be patient. It will take several months to ensure that you're tracking all items. So this has 3 main categories: your income, expenses, and the difference between the two to identify if you're saving or having shortfalls on a monthly basis. Are there categories that are missing? A budget is a tool to help track your spending. It is only useful if you follow it. You can track expenses using a spreadsheet, or there are apps that will help you track where your money is going. Mint is a commonly used one if you're looking for the apps. This keeps you in control of your money. It's important to know the difference between fixed and variable expenses. Fixed expenses are those that stay the same every month, while variable expenses change every month. Difficult to change fixed expenses quickly. For example, if you have to give notice to cancel a gym membership you aren't using. However, an example of easily changing one is canceling one of your streaming services if you have multiple. Once your original cell phone contract ends, you may want to change to a pay-as-you-go service that may save you money. A good tip is to not spend more than 50% of your income on fixed expenses, giving you more flexibility with your variable expenses. Variable expenses are easier to control. There are a lot of ways to save on variable expenses: eat out less, turn on data notifications when getting close to limit so you don't go over, and you'll get charged for that, which I have been charged a couple times for not setting those. So that's always important. If you see at the bottom of the budget sample, the difference between the income and expenses is 557, right down here. This is not a zero-based budget. You will need to make some changes to get it to 0, and you need to examine where you make the changes, likely in variable expense categories. Let's take a look at some of the more common goals for costs for students. Well, this year may be a little different with online learning. Typically, these are the costs that students face. There are a lot of things here, so don't be discouraged, but rather break down costs into smaller pieces and create SMART goals about how to accomplish your spending. So a big one is going to be tuition. That comes every year if you're a student. So, that's going to be one of your main ones. Tuition fees vary from school to school and program to program. They also vary across the country. You'll need to do some research to see what the costs are for programs that are of interest to you. If you wanted to go to school overseas, maybe in like the UK or something, it's going to be, vastly different from the tuition we pay here. Textbooks. These costs vary by program and usually run into the hundreds of dollars. If you know you are interested in a certain area of study, do some research. The cost of textbooks will likely go up over time, but then again, more resources may be available by students online. For the sake of planning now, assume a textbook costs around $800 to $1,200 for books and course materials. If you're lucky, there are people selling them cheaper. A lot of people on Mohawk has a Facebook group will sell their textbooks there. And usually those are cheaper than going to the Mohawk store. But oftentimes professors will also give you easier ways to get your textbooks. And some might just put them online, which is awesome. So supplies, the cost of school supplies can really add up. It depends a lot on your chosen program of study. Supplies can include such things as papers, pens, calculators, binders, a computer supplies, printer, print cartridges, and cell phone. They can also include specific equipment for particular courses of study, such as lab equipment or clothing. It can be hard to estimate these costs, but make sure to include some amount for them in your budget and saving plan. Transportation, even if you live at home, you will have travel costs getting to and from your university, college, or training program. Transportation costs will, of course, be higher if you live far away or if you live away from home. Include some money for travel in your savings plans. And then fees, you may also have to pay athletic fees, student union fees, health and insurance fees, and so on. These costs vary, but can add up to $800 or more per year. Some fees may be optional, but if you don't pay, you may not be able to use some services, or you may lose some benefits such as insurance. And then we have living costs, which according to estimates, students who live away from home spend on average $1,200 a month to live. This includes everything from rent to food to internet to toothpaste. Some of these costs will apply if you live at home. An average living cost when staying at home would be in the $300 to $400 a month range. All right. When considering spending on major purchases, you need to understand all the costs involved and be prepared for them. Make the major purchase a goal you set up a savings plan for. Start saving as soon as possible. Break bigger savings goals. Perhaps you've set those goals over a few years and make them into like monthly goals and celebrate your successes when you accomplish goals. Learn about all the expenses involved. Do you know how much mortgages are and how they work and like how much car loans cost? So make sure you do your research before buying. Talk about all the hidden costs of buying a cars. So like, you know, a lot of people don't talk about these, but there's like, you know, insurance, gas, maintenance, parking, annual registration, interests on loans, which a lot of people don't know about when they're getting these kind of things. So just, you know, make sure you're doing your homework and put those into your budget as well. So yeah, the cost can really add up. So consider your options carefully and get advice if you can before making your final decision. So here are just some key takeaways from this section. To control your money with a budget, monitor your spending to make adjustments on your budget, and when making major purchases, always be informed. All right, we're going to move on to savings, which is our last section of the presentation. So we're almost there. So if you don't plan to save, you most likely will not end up saving. A general rule of thumb is to pay yourself first and put 10% of your pay into a savings account for some, for the future. Savings is one of the two key components to Canadians having financial well-being. The other item is to not use credit or everyday purchases. And then I think we have a reference material that you've been given, where you can read more about that and how to use like financial well-being in your everyday life. And then these are just 3 topics we're going to cover in the last section of this module, which number 1 is but why save, and then the magic of compound interest, and the tips to help you save starting today. All right. As we have mentioned, saving should be a part of your budget, a fixed part of your budget. But why save? First of all, it is how you will meet your goals. Saving is going to be the only way to afford some of the more expensive things you might hope for, a car or a home, without drowning in debt. Saving will help you be prepared if unexpected things come up, both good and bad. Everyone should have an emergency fund. An emergency fund is a savings amount that would cover up to 3 months of your typical living expense. Savings will help you be in control of your choices. You may be able to buy something you want or need without using debt. You'll feel better about knowing that you have money available, so you may worry less about money matters in your life, and it will just have you, like, you'll have more peace of mind. So the following are some things to do to start and continue to save. Number 1 is make saving a priority. Save some money, even a little, before you do anything else with your money. As we mentioned, saving should be a part of your budget. Pay yourself first. Set a savings goal that will be motivating. Have a target. Give yourself something specific to work towards and reach for. Try and set a time period to get there. Don't forget to set SMART goals. It should be specific and attainable. Setting an unrealistic goal will just discourage you from saving. Reward yourself if you succeed in reaching a savings goal. Track your spending. Know where your money is going. This will help you look for ways to save more. If you need to, be patient. This will take time, some time to master. And then try and use a budget and stick to it. This will help you better control how to use your money. You may hear someone talk about the magic of compounding. This refers to how savings and investments can grow in a more quickly because of compound interest. So we're just going to watch another video about compound interest. Hopefully this works. Let's give it a minute.
Let's assume a very generous bank offers to pay John and Lisa a return of 10% per year, and they each invest $1,000 called a principal. John wants to spend the interest each year and only keep the principal in the bank, while Lisa wants to save for 30 years, so she doesn't take the interest out each year. In John's case, the 10% amount to $100 each year. So after 1 year, he'll have $1,100 in his account, out of which he'll take $100. After the second year, he'll once again have $1,100 in his account, out of which he'll take $100. After the 30th year, he'll have $1,100 as usual and take $100. He will be left with $1,000 in his account. So his principal and the returns he made amount to $100 multiplied by 30. So another $3,000, a grand total of $4,000 that he made over 30 years. Lisa, on the other hand, will make more. After 1 year, she will have $1,100 in her account, but she keeps everything there. After the second year, she will earn 10% of those $1,100, and not only on the initial $1,000. Therefore, she will have $1,100 plus $110, so $1,210. After the third year, she will earn 10% of those $1,210 and have $1,331. After year 30, she will have $17,449.40, over 4 times more than John.
All right. So I think, at least for the video, it set people for earning 10% in a bank account, which is not quite realistic, but the general point kind of stays the same. All right.
Let's assume
It's not. Ever wonder how long until your investment doubles? Rule of 72 can be used to calculate roughly in how many years your investment money will double. To calculate how long it will take for your money to double, divide 72 by the interest rate being received. If you earn 2% a year, it will take 36 years for your money to double, as 72 divided by 2 equals 36. This can also be used to determine how much inflation will hurt your purchasing power. If inflation is 2% a year, then the purchasing power of $1 will be cut in half in 36 years. If inflation is more like 12% a year, like in the early 1980s, then the purchasing power of $1 will be cut in half in 6 years. This is a good rule of thumb to keep in mind relating to the concept of compound interest. As Albert Einstein is reputed to have said, compound interest is the 8th wonder of the world. So here are just some more saving tips. We've already mentioned this before, but save before you spend is the best way to save. You can also save while you spend with a debit card that will round up your purchases to the nearest dollar and put the extra money into your savings account, which I didn't know about before this, but is also like it adds up. So I do recommend that. Looking for ways to spend less on transportation. Use cheaper, maybe healthier ways of getting around. Eat out less or eat at less expensive places. For many people, eating out eats up a good portion of their money. And then use your phone wisely. Don't waste money on extra charges, bad plans, roaming fees, etc. Once again, if you spend less, you can save more. More savings tips. Cut back on vices. If you spend a lot on cigarettes, gaming, apps, expensive coffee, power drinks, etc., cut back. These are potential examples of wants, not needs. Avoid impulse buying. That's making fast spending decisions on the spot without much thought. They are often some of the poorest decisions people have made and can use up money that could have been saved. Especially avoid online impulse buying. It's so easy to buy things online now. When buying online, leave items in the shopping cart overnight. If you still need the item the next day, go ahead and buy it. You really have to determine if what you want is a need or a want. It may be hard, but try to avoid fads. Keeping up in terms of style and fashion. It's a real challenge for many young people and can use up their money quickly. Avoid them as you can. Be your own person, set your own style. You'll probably just find that it's a lot less expensive and can help you save. And don't borrow for day-to-day needs. And then take advantage of sales and deals. You can save a lot of money this way. Buying off season or on the shoulder season for clothes can save a lot. End of year sales, end of line sales, going out of business sales, they can all help you save. And then we just have another video. Hopefully this one works as well. My Wi-Fi is being a little bit spotty, but let's see. And then I think there also should be a link for this in the resource.
You probably already know some of the basics, like how making your own coffee or bringing your lunch to work can help you save hundreds of dollars a year. If you're doing that, definitely keep it up. But let's look at a few other ways you can save on everyday expenses and how some simple decisions that you make every day can help you save money. The supermarket is a great place to start because there are a lot of easy ways to cut down on your shopping bill. You may already be doing things like making a list to cut back on impulse buying, clipping coupons, or using apps to find deals, and even looking at the price per unit to help you get the most for your money. But there are even more ways you can save. For example, when you see a sale or discount, be strategic. Sales and discounts can be great opportunities to save on things you need, but stores often offer incentives for items that a lot of people wouldn't normally get. So it can pay to be selective when considering any discounts you might be offered. And while you're considering priorities, spend on what's important, save on what's not. For example, for some people, things like organic foods or your favorite brands might be important to you. For others, what's important may be different. The point is that it might be worthwhile to spend a bit more on the items you care about, but look for ways to save on the things that are less important to you to keep you on budget. Making simple trade-offs like these can help you save money without giving up what's important. Finally, before you even make a shopping list, consider your actual eating and cooking habits. A good idea is to plan your meals ahead of time or challenge yourself to eat at least one more meal at home each week. This may help prevent you from tossing out spoiled groceries that you didn't eat or ordering takeout because you didn't buy enough food for the week. This can save you hundreds of dollars each year. Keeping with household expenses and bills, you probably already turn off the lights when you leave a room and unplug gadgets when you aren't using them, right? But there are some other small changes you can make that can help you save even more around the house. For example, did you know that most utility companies charge more for electricity during different parts of the day? Peak hours, like the middle of the day, when more people are using electricity, often have substantially higher rates compared to early mornings or late at night. Doing your laundry or running your dishwasher off-peak can likely help you save on your utility bill. You can check out your utility company's website to see if they list their peak hours or contact them directly. Let's move on to transportation. Gas prices can be unpredictable, but technology could be a way to help you save. There are plenty of websites and apps that can help you locate which gas station in your area might be offering the cheapest prices. And depending on how often you drive and where you live, you may consider ditching your car altogether. Public transportation might be one option. And there are a number of car sharing programs that allow you to affordably rent vehicles short-term. And for the truly dedicated, how about biking? It's certainly a cost-effective and healthy alternative to both driving and public transportation. It can be easy to follow others into overspending. But try getting creative and occasionally plan activities with your friends and family ahead of time that can help you avoid temptations like a spontaneous meal out. Saving money doesn't have to mean sacrificing fun. It pays to take some time to figure out where you're spending and what you're willing to cut back on. You don't necessarily have to do the math on every single decision you make, but being mindful of where your money is going and how simple trade-offs here or there can add up over the long run can help you get creative and find your own ways to trim costs every day.
All right. Moving on. That was just some more, bonus saving tips. So hopefully you got something from that. And here are just some key takeaways from this section. So saving keeps you in control and accomplishing goals. Make saving a priority and use saving tips. And start saving at a young age, and then add more each year. So these are just some things we ended up talking about. Goal setting, budgeting, and saving. I think there are a bunch of notes in a packet you've probably been given before the presentation. So if you want to go back and look through some of them, I highly recommend. Those are some useful tips. So make sure you're making good money decisions. 2, you need a map to get to your destination, and 3, achieve your dreams. To achieve your dreams, set SMART goals. Budgeting and spending. Take control of your money with a budget. Money must be spent on needs, but wants are a choice. When making major purchases, always be informed. And then saving. Saving keeps you in control and accomplishing goals. Make saving a priority and use saving tips. Start saving at a young age, and then add more each year. Coming out of this workshop, you should now feel comfortable with being able to make more informed decisions about purchases, understanding why we buy things and the influences on our behaviors, be able to create a budget that includes savings and can help reduce your financial stress, and know how to apply the magic of compound interest to increase your savings. So just some next steps to live a financially healthy life. Become more aware of your money goals, habits, and options, and then just follow these steps, like healthier attitude around money, increase control of your finances, and reduce anxiety and stress about money. These are all things that will happen if you make a budget. So that's that. If you guys have any questions, feel free to leave them and I will try and answer. But that's end of the presentation.
Okay, thank you, Ulrich. So we did have one question that popped up during the presentation, but I will ask Dina to throw it into the Q&A just to make sure I'm addressing it properly to you so that you know what's going on. And if anybody else has any other questions, please feel free to throw them into the Q&A now. So Dina was asking how you account for uncertainty within a budget, like a zero-based budget. If your expenses aren't always the same or you aren't sure what they're going to be.
So for uncertainty in like budget, my tip would be like, have an extra slot in your budget for the range of those uncertain items. So maybe if you have extra money that you're working with, set aside, I don't know what items you have in mind, but I'm going to use, like $100 or $200, just set that $200 aside for maybe these uncertain items that may occur. I don't know, Chad, if you had any other like recommendations for that.
Yeah, no, that's a great suggestion. Making sure that you consider the fact that you have those uncertain items and just make sure you're accounting for it. And as you keep track of them month over month, you might end up becoming more certain about where those items will sit in the long run.
This is Craig. Just one other thing to add on the sort of uncertainty, and it's not necessarily in your budgeting, but it helps to kind of tie in and connect with having a rainy day fund or an emergency fund. If you have some savings built up somewhere else, that can help to sort of mitigate some of the uncertainty, some of the things that come along, extra $50 or $100 here or there that you hadn't budgeted for. So also try to make sure you're building up that rainy day fund as well.
Right. Yeah.
So Dina also mentioned tuition at Mohawk College. I'm not 100% sure what you mean by that. Is that like a form of uncertainty, paying the tuition, or
like OSAP funds maybe? You don't know how much you're going to get, I guess, essentially.
That could be. And just the fact that, some months it shows up and other months you don't have it. So it changes your budget. Yeah, she mentioned the tuition is very expensive for international students.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's definitely something you would need to consider when building your budget and potentially set aside an extra savings section so that when that tuition shows up, you've prepared for it months ahead of time. Any other questions from people? Feel free to throw them in the Q&A. That's what we're here for, to help address anything that might be coming up.
I think on the topic of tuition, that there are available bursaries and awards, and I think often students don't even consider that. So it might be an option for people to look at, alternatives to, help them out. It may not cover the full cost of tuition, but it could help, carry some of your book charges or some of your other living expenses. So on the Mohawk College website, there under financial services, there is a pretty robust list of awards and bursaries. Now they're probably finished for this semester, but it's something to consider for moving forward.
Definitely.
Yeah, and just one thing to add on that, Deb, we are partnering with Mohawk. CFP is partnering with Mohawk College again on November the 10th to offer a session called Borrowing for the Books. So we will talk about some of those aspects and loans and other ways to help pay for school. So
Yeah,
that may be
great.
of interest to some of the folks.
Yeah, that's a great segue there, Craig.
Yep.
So for Ulrich, as an international student, how and where can I find the best bank option for me in Canada?
That's a good question. Personally, I'm unsure. As an international student, obviously, I don't know. I'm not one. Chad, do you have any recommendations? I use TD, but I don't know if that's the best bank for an international student.
The international office at Mohawk might have a little bit more information if there's anything with specific options or incentives for international students. But the big thing is to just do your shopping around a little bit. Look at the different banks. You're in a situation where if you don't have a bank already, you can go anywhere. So just keep your eye open. Who's offering the kind of interest rates you want? Who's offering, what are the kind of charges? Maybe the bank, what options fit best with what you're looking for. And likely a lot of banks do offer discounts for students, whether international or domestic students. So that's definitely something to look into.
Yeah, great suggestions, Chad. And I know as well, we are having another CFE Mohawk partnership on Matters for International Students on November 24th. So those links will be going live and being promoted. So, put that date in your calendar, November 24th. So same time at 12:30.
And just to make sure everyone saw, Brittany did put a post in the chat. The FCAC, the Financial Consumer Agency of Canada, has a great comparison tool for bank accounts. So take a look at that chat, because Brittany's been nice enough to put the link in there for that.
Then we have another question. Is there a difference between saving money if I handle it as if cash or if I put it in a bank account? Right? What's the benefit to either keeping it as cash or having it in a bank account? Is there a difference?
For saving, for bank accounts, you can sometimes accumulate interest. If your bank account was set up for that, I think in a savings account, sometimes they'll put interest on it, so you can save. I think that's bank, if I'm not mistaken. And then also, I'm assuming if you're in cash, that's how you're using it to spend on things, which a lot of things these days are now pay like online, or pay, at least I know, like for my insurance and for my rent and stuff like that, everything comes out of my bank account. So that also could be an issue. But I also do think it is important to have some sort of cash funds on you. I know at least when I go out, I always have some cash in my wallet in case I get stranded somewhere, or if I lose my phone or something. I don't know. I always just keep cash on me, just in case. you have any more recommendations, Chad, about that? I don't know if that's good.
No, I think those are pretty good. I would say the benefit of putting it into a bank account, as you mentioned, is going to be some interest on it, so that as inflation takes hold, you don't have to worry quite so much about your money losing value. That being said, some bank accounts and savings accounts can have very low interest rates. So depending on how long you need the money for, it might not make too much of a difference if it's going to be, right, saving up for, say, 3 months. And I know personally, if I've got, say, a short-term thing that I'm trying to save up for, I end up saving better for it if I keep it in cash, if it's not going to be too much money, because I don't want too much money sitting around in cash. But it can help me, 2 months, 3 months, where I wouldn't really earn much interest on it anyway, because then there's no temptation to spend it. Because as you said, Ulrich, like, everything's done through your card nowadays. So if it's on my card, if I'm not paying enough attention, then I might end up spending some of it. But if it's in cash, I don't even see it on my card. Then, 2 months down the road, when I'm ready to make that purchase, I go put it in my bank account, then I can use it. So kind of depends on what you're trying to do with it and what your personal habits are. But longer term, it's better to have it in some sort of account to earn interest on, because long term, inflation is going to end up lowering the value of the money if you just keep it in cash the whole time.
Right.
So that's the last of the questions we have at the moment. We'll give it a couple minutes for people to throw in any other questions that might come up.
Hey, Chad,
Yep.
have you had a chance to put up the post survey?
That I did not. I'll throw that in the chat now while we're all here.
Thank you.
So I'm sure most of you heard my spiel at the beginning of the presentation. And so here's my spiel again. This is the post survey I've just thrown into the chat. If you complete both the pre and post survey for the workshop, you'll be entered into a draw to win one of 2 $100 Tim Hortons gift cards. So if you want to take a second before you head out, grab the link from the chat, and we appreciate it. And if you win, I'm sure you'll appreciate it as well. Someone came to the door and my dog decided that he's going to bark for the first time in 3 days. So I don't see any other questions making their way into the Q&A. So I think we're good for the day. So thank you, Ulrich, for the presentation, and thank you for Deb and Brittany for having us. And we look forward to seeing everybody at the next presentation, as Craig mentioned, the Borrowing for the Books.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. Thank you very much. Did great job.
Awesome.
Thank you,
Thanks,
everyone.
everybody.
Great.
Have a great
Bye.
afternoon.